Tokugawa Ieyasu is the newest infantry garrison commander in the game, and today I'm going to be doing an in-depth guide going over all of his kit, his skills, his pairings, how I think he's going to impact the rally meta, if he's good on the field, and if you should even consider investing in him. So if you're interested in Tokugawa Ieyasu as a commander, either in the garrison or even in the open field, and if he is good or not, you want to stick around till the end of the video. Now let's start off today's video, like all other guides, by going over Tokugawa's skills. And we'll start off with his active skill, where he deals smite damage, 2400 damage factor, to a target troop, single target damage right here. He reduces the defense by 10% for 3 seconds, and they also gain a damage absorbing mighty shield for 2 seconds, damage factor 600. Now, very stock standard skill here, really rubbish debuff, just to be really honest. It's an active skill debuff, so it's not going to stack with anything, so it really doesn't matter, but 10% defense reduction is better than nothing, and then the mighty shield factor is good, especially in terms of a garrison. Shielding is amazing. We know from commanders like Heraclius, shielding can be really impactful, so shielding on the active skill is nice, and it's also going to show that he could be an okay pairing with Heraclius, who really does benefit from the fact that you are getting a shield. So it's a good thing that Tokugawa has a shield on his active skill. Moving on to the second skill here, whenever this commander's troop launches a basic attack or a counterattack, the infantry units have a 25% chance to gain a total of 30% attack for 4 seconds, and infantry units in their troop gain a total of 10% march speed and a 10% defense bonus. This skill is kind of backwards. Generally, we see the stats first and then the effect next, but what this is really saying is permanently going to have a 10% march speed and defense bonus. Now, march speed for a garrison, not the most important, but it can be nice. But he's only going to get that infantry attack bonus whenever he's launching a basic attack or a counter attack. So that's not a permanent thing. That attack is separate, but the march speed and the defense are permanent, even without him triggering that chance. Moving on to his third skill, if this commander is a garrison commander, the garrison deals a total of 10% more all damage, and whenever the garrison deals smite damage, so his active skill or the secondary commander's active skill, it is a 25% chance to cleanse 1 slow, 1 poison, 1 exhaustion, or 1 normal debuff. Now, a normal debuff includes debuffs that reduce the target's attack, defense, healing, received, or health. So that's not the biggest thing. Exhaustion is afflicted by Chandragupta, so that's not really going to show up too much. Poison can be nice. The fact that Tokugawa can shrug off poison, especially from Herman Prime's skills, is really good. Slow, not so much, because he's a garrison commander. Like, being hit with a slow effect as a garrison commander does almost nothing for you, because you don't leave the building. But if you're running, or if, I can't even say if you're running him on the open field, because it doesn't change anything. So this doesn't really do much, and the fact that it's only cleansing 1 stack, it's not the biggest deal. But he's also going to gain 1 stack of the Toshu or Tosho effect for 10 seconds. Each stack is going to increase the health of his infantry garrison by up to 5%, and the Toshu stack in the effect can stack up to 4 times, and its duration resets whenever he gains another stack. Really, this is saying he can shrug off any of the above debuffs, and that's going to let him get up to 20% more health. Now, the normal debuff shrugging is probably going to be the best. Commanders like Scipio Africanus and commanders like Nevsky, who do really big one-off debuffs, being able to shrug those, very good. Being able to shrug off the small things like exhaustion, which you're never really going to see in this meta, poison, which isn't a big deal currently, like it's good to shrug off, but not too big of a deal, and slow, which is generally useless for a garrison, is really just going to allow you to build up those Tosho effects, and not really going to be a very impactful thing. But shrugging off normal debuffs is going to be very nice. Moving on to the third skill here, again, if this commander is a garrison commander, whenever the garrison receives a buff, it has a 50% chance to gain a damage-absorbing mighty shield for 3 seconds, damage factor 1200, cooldown 7 seconds. Really good shield there. 1200 shield factor is extremely high. Put that with his active skill, it's absurdly good. And I think that's currently the biggest shield in the game, considering that besides maybe William Wallace might have a 1200 shield as well, but he's not a garrison commander. Heraclius' best shield is also 1200. So I was wrong, but Heraclius' shield is only on an active skill, so that does mean I don't think it stacks with other damage-absorbing shields. Now, I'm not too sure whether or not 2 mighty shields can stack. I'm pretty sure no matter what, shields don't stack. There was a test with Alex way back in the day. But the fact that you're getting a 1200 stack mighty shield on Tokugawa's 4th skill is good. And the fact that it is just whenever you receive a buff, which is quite easy to do when you're in a garrison, it is even better. Now the Toshos, or the Tosho effects, or whatever they are, most likely count as a buff because you are getting 5% infantry health. So really, whenever you shrug off a debuff, Tosho is going to have a chance of, well, obviously is going to guarantee gaining a form of a buff, 5% health, or he's got a 25% chance that whenever he cleanses it, or he's got a 25% chance to cleanse, and then whenever he gains that buff, he gets 5% health, and then that can trigger a 1200 shield, which is ridiculously good, and that is a cooldown of 7 seconds. Moving on to the final skill, whenever this commander's troop launches a basic attack or a counter attack, it has a 15% chance, 30% if it has a shield, to deal smite damage to up to 3 enemy troops in a fan-shaped area, damage factor 300, every additional target reduces it by 15%, cooldown 3 seconds. 10 seconds, sorry. So what this is really saying, whenever he launches a basic or counter attack, if he has a shield, he has a 30% chance to deal smite in an AoE. Really, really good because it's going to help you trigger the second skill or third skill here, which is going to let you shrug off debuffs to give you a shield and make you a really, really annoying and tanky garrison to kill. Very similar to Heraclius, where the shielding factor makes him annoying and tanky to kill, except Tokugawa performs a lot better when he can shrug debuffs off. So now this brings me on to the main things to note about Tokugawa's skills. First thing, he's anti-swarm, but not in a way we've seen before. Generally, we see anti-swarm, big counterattack, big numbers. Tokugawa has anti-swarm through shields. Now this is kind of similar to Heraclius, but his shields are not the same. Tokugawa's anti-swarm comes through getting debuffs. If you're running a Tokugawa garrison, you probably want to give him debuffs. As crazy as that sounds, I wouldn't say go out of your way to give him debuffs, but you're going to want to hope your opponents are using a rally that gives a lot of debuffs, or a rally that is dealing, or you want to hope that they're using a swarm, a big swarm that's giving you tons of debuffs as well, because if they're using a Herman Prime or a Tamiris, if they're still stuck in like 2018, then that can help you get a bunch of debuffs, which you can shrug off, which can let you get the health bonus, which lets you trigger the shield. Now, you can get the health bonus through this infantry bonus here, where whenever you use a basic attack, you got 25% chance to gain a certain number of attack. That is a buff, and that will trigger the shield 50% of the time, but it's going to be much easier through the Tosho effect. Now, not the most insane effect in itself, but the fact that you're able to shrug off debuffs and make that into a mighty shield is really, really powerful, and is going to make you an annoying garrison to defeat, because you can't really debuff him too well because it makes him stronger, and then he's going to get the shielding factor, which is just going to make him really hard to kill, and it is his anti-swarm. So Tokugawa, there's not much anti-swarm in his kit in terms of counterattack damage. I don't actually think he has any, or if he does, it's like a really small number. He actually doesn't have any counterattack, but the shielding factor is going to make him an absolute pain in the ass to take down when he is in the garrison. Now this brings me on to Tokugawa's best pairings, and who better than Gorgo, the last Smite infantry garrison commander that was released. She's probably going to be meta with him, simply because whenever Tokugawa deals Smite damage, he's going to be able to trigger a bunch of effects. So whenever he deals smite damage, he's going to be able to cleanse debuffs and therefore get that shield. And, well, Gorgo does a lot of smite damage. Not only does she literally have a smite damage active skill, which is going to be good, not only is she still a pretty good garrison, she can also trigger more smite on her third skill, which makes her an even more desirable commander to put with Tokugawa. On top of this, Tokugawa's stats in and of themselves are pretty rubbish. Gorgo has a solid amount of stats. She's got good stats on her second skill, 40% attack permanently, and she's got a chance to increase normal damage, which is really, really good. And then she's also got another normal damage bonus whenever they deal smite, which is again nice because Tokugawa does have extra smite on his expertise. And then she's also got a 30% health bonus. So Gorgo is that traditional, really, really tanky commander, lots of stats, annoying to kill, and that makes her good in the garrison. She was just missing that very good smite pairing, and Tokugawa really is that good smite pairing who can work amazingly with Gorgo and kind of work in unison to achieve one goal, be a tanky, annoying garrison with a lot of stats. So Gorgo is your traditional garrison, lots of stats, good counter attack, good normal damage, while Tokugawa is just a really, really tanky beast with a crap ton of shielding that allows you to be very, very powerful and formidable in the garrison. So Tokugawa with Gorgo is most likely going to be the best pairing. Gorgo most likely primary, because when you look at Gorgo's kit, she gets a 900 rage requirement, which means it's better to run her as the primary. So Gorgo primary, Tokugawa secondary probably makes more sense, especially because you are going to be able to deal more normal damage bonus, because whenever you deal 10% more normal damage, then that means Tokugawa's active skill is going to deal more damage as well. So Tokugawa most likely a secondary here. to Gorgo unless you want to benefit from that smite tree. So there's a chance you run Tokugawa as a primary, but I feel having 100 rage cheaper active skill is going to outvalue most of his talents when it comes down to running him as a primary commander. So Gorgo most likely primary, Tokugawa as a secondary. The other option to consider is Heraclius. Now, I feel like there's a bit of a clash between Heraclius and Tokugawa because the way it works is with shielding, and I'm pretty sure on this. If I'm wrong, correct me, and then that means some of the stuff I say might not be correct. But I'm pretty sure from what I've seen and what I remember looking at, shields, the way they work, it's kind of similar to debuffs, except they work at the same time. So let's say you have a 1000 factor shield and a 600 factor shield, and the 1000 factor shield lasts for 3 seconds and the 600 lasts for 4 seconds. If that 1000 shield is triggered at the same time or running at the same time as that 600 factor shield, the 1000 shield will still take precedent. You'll be able to basically have the higher shield there as long as there is no shield that is above it. So the 1000 shield will take control, but it's still going to tick down the time on your 600 factor shield. So let's say your 1000 factor shield is lost at that last second. The 3 seconds pass, you lose the shield. Your 600 factor shield only has 1 second left because it still is ticking down. You don't stack shields, so you can't go from 1000, add 600, get 1600, not how it works. They run at the same time, but only the 1000 shield is triggered until either that shield is killed off or it runs out of time. And that's how your Midas shield is going to work, which means his synergy with a Heraclius might not be as good as it looks. On top of this, Heraclius doesn't really have any smite damage. He's got direct damage factor, so I can't say that it would be a bad Garrison by any means. I just don't think it's going to be the most meta. I think Gorgo is most likely going to take the cake there. Every other infantry Garrison in the game probably is not going to be your go-to here. Commanders like Zenobia and all that, I assume, will be quite poor. With Tokugawa, they don't really have anything in their kit that he really needs. Maybe Zenobia with the healing could be nice because you can shrug off healing effects, but nowadays I don't see it being a very meta march or meta Garrison pairing. So when it comes down to it, Tokugawa and also Gorgo, probably, or Zenobia, probably not your go-to thing, but Gorgo, definitely a much stronger commander. So now, because Tokugawa is most likely going to be run as a secondary, I'm not really going to go over his talents. If you're looking for a talent tree, just look for a blend between a William talent tree and a bit more of a Garrison-styled talent tree. Now, the Garrison tree itself, there's not much good in the tree. There's not much you really want to focus on, but the Smite tree is pretty nice. So if you're going to use Tokugawa primary, maybe in the future there is a good pairing with it. Kind of see what people are saying at that time, what talents are best, if you're watching this video in the future, but really, he looks like he's going to be more of a secondary right now to Gorgo, and that's probably where he's going to stay until he falls out of the meta at the least. That's my guess, but he does seem like he's going to be a relatively good Garrison, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But the thing I want to discuss now, is he good on the field? Simple answer, most likely not. He has 2 skills that are fully reliant on him being in a Garrison. One of them is the biggest thing in his kit, in my opinion, the fact that he can shrug off those debuffs and put on the shield. Those 2 things kind of make him useless without it. So without those 2 things, Tokugawa probably not going to be good on the open field. Really, you just get some low stats on the second skill, a pretty average active skill compared to what we've seen before, and a very useless expertise for the field for the most part. So when it comes down to it, Tokugawa on the field, not going to be good at all, I don't think. A lot of his kit is locked behind him being in the Garrison, so don't invest in him for the field. I don't see it being a very smart move, but if you want to run him in the Garrison, I think that he's definitely a good pickup in no. So now this brings me on to investing in Tokugawa, because he's going to be in the game in just over 4 days now, or just under 4 days. And quite simply, I think if you're going to be an infantry Garrison, you need an infantry Garrison for your kingdom, or you just need to have the meta Garrison, Tokugawa probably going to be meta, especially against the more dominant cavalry rallies right now, because we have seen that the new cavalry rally with Attila, we have seen that Subutai with Attila is ridiculously strong, and you're probably going to want to use the new meta infantry Garrison to counter it. So I am assuming, this is again a bit of an assumption, but Tokugawa is going to be able to counter the new Garrison. There's a ridiculous amount of shielding. It's good to use shielding against a lot of normal attack because it's going to absorb those normal attacks. So Tokugawa most likely going to be meta in terms of Garrison. If you want to run him in the Garrison, he's going to be perfect with Gorgo. So if you need a new pairing with your Gorgo Garrison, Tokugawa is going to be your go-to. So if you're a Garrison main, I would definitely get Tokugawa. Expertise him is going to be good. I don't see him being bad. He's definitely going to outpower any of the previous infantry commander pairings, like Gorgo with Constantine and Heraclius, don't match compared to the Tokugawa pairing, because it's just going to be so much better and such an annoyance to kill, because any debuffs you put on him, he's just going to shrug them off, and he's actually going to benefit because he is shrugging them off. So Tokugawa shrugging off debuffs is amazing. Pair that with Gorgo, you're going to be in a mint situation. Open field wise, don't even look at him. There's no point. There's much better commanders like Baiki, who I'll talk about probably in tomorrow's video or the day after, because Baiki is just a much stronger commander. Tokugawa, however, definitely good for Garrison. Looks like he'll be miserable on the open field. I wouldn't even consider it, because he is just a Garrison commander. And generally, the only times you see commanders that are good on the field, they're usually rally commanders, because most Garrison commanders, besides like Gorgo, a lot of their kit is locked behind being in a Garrison. So Tokugawa, I think, is a great Garrison commander, but a field commander, he is just not going to be your choice for that. Now, if you made it to the end of today's video and you want to see some more infantry guides for the new commanders coming out, commanders like Baiki, who I'm definitely going to wait for some more official testing to do stuff on, then you probably want to subscribe to the channel. Actually, you don't probably want to, you definitely want to subscribe, because subscribing is a really easy way to see my videos a little bit more often. So if you want to help me out, subscribing is a really good way to do it for free, and if you want to see more videos, subscribing is the best way to do it. So please do consider subscribing if you found the video useful, helpful, enjoyable, whatever it may be. And to anyone that has subscribed, I really, really appreciate it. Other than that, I just want to say I thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.